So with all that fundamental installation and configuration issues, what we have been discussing, now it's time we can start getting into the world of SQL for practical implementation. Now, first thing what we should understand is we have already been saying that SQL is a standardization that's basically accepted universally in the world, and any kind of database management system product you take, all the database management system products will go with the same kind of SQL standards. Now, Oracle may provide you few more extra features, okay? But the core generic standards, what the world is following in SQL, if we can understand that, catching up advancements and advanced constructs of SQL is not a difficult aspect as far as what Oracle is providing us. Are you getting me? You need to just get through the criteria what you're working with. So when you're getting into the world of SQL, what exactly we need to understand and what exactly we need to make ourselves associate through the criteria. See, one thing is very clear. SQL is a universal standard. SQL is one universal standard that is followed wherever you have a relational database management system software. Therefore, when we are getting into the world of SQL, there are certain things what we need to always understand. The criteria, what you should understand is Oracle's SQL complies with industry accepted standards. Okay, whatever SQL Oracle is providing you, this particular SQL is absolutely as per the standards of your particular industry. I mean, throughout the world, what industrial standards are prescribed to follow with SQL, Oracle's SQL will follow that automatically. So when you say that you are learning SQL from Oracle Corporation's database management system software, you are very clearly indicating the industry that I'm working on the standards that are demanded and that are basically adapted by the world. That is the reason once you float your resume with Oracle, it automatically gets identified because you are talking on the standards of industry. Be very, very clear about that. Lokesh, if you are typing your sysas sdba and if it is asking password, means at the time of installation, whatever password you have given, that password you have to give. Else somebody has changed your particular password. Now that you should know very practically. There is no other alternate way. Now, coming to the criteria of the process, in general, I'm speaking in general, SQL statements are categorized into different number of ways. Okay, there are different categories of SQL statements. Now, these categories, whatever you try to see in SQL statements, these categories are almost all same in major number of databases that follow relational database management system standards. Am I clear with you? So the first kind of category of SQL statements are data retrieval statements. The name itself is telling you data retrieval. Retrieval means access the data or read the data that is already existing in your database. So under the data retrieval statements, your select statement will come into the picture. So whenever we are using select statement, we are practically instructing the environment of the Oracle database. We are practically instructing the environment of the Oracle database very, very clearly saying that it has to go and get the data by contacting the database management system server. Be very, very clear about that. Am I clear with you? So you're very specifically trying to say exactly the data should come from the corresponding database to which you have been actually connected. For every individual record that you're expecting, or all the records, whatever you're expecting, there are multiple different number of flavors and combinations that will be coming in whenever you're dealing with your criteria and composition of your data retrieval. Now, here I want to give you a word of caution. There is nothing but, as far as your RDBMS books are concerned, okay, as far as your RDBMS books are concerned, this data retrieval statements, what you're specifying a select statement, the select statement is generally considered to be a part of data manipulation language statements. As far as the concepts of RDBMS are concerned, no doubt select is a RDBMS construct. Okay, it's a RDBMS construct falling under data manipulation language statements. But industrially, we don't consider select to be part of DML. We try to separate it and we call it as data retrieval statement. Why? I'll give you the reasons. Don't worry. Okay. Am I clear with you? But one thing is clear. The statement will be used for reading the data from your tables or any kind of Oracle database object that is fundamentally existing. Now, the next statements or next category of statements we have is the DDL statements. Where these DDL statements are generally called as data definition language statements. You just go back and recollect all our sessions, man. For any particular database application to be developed, first we should have a policy of how we will be collecting the data from the end user. Am I correct? The business data has to be collected. It has to be stored in the database objects like tables. And on those tables, we need to create something like alternate objects like synonyms, then put it in the construct of use. So, to build the definition of your particular database application, to fill the definition of different objects you need in your database application, whatever you're developing, these DDL statements will help you. Now, within this DDL statement, the first statement is create statement. The statement is used to create any Oracle database object. I'm making it very clear. Within your database application, you want to create any database object. You want to create any database object. Technically, it is a create statement. Be very, very clear about that. So, within the databases, anyhow, we'll see this in a more detailed way. Let us not worry. But technically, you should understand that this is a single statement that will be used for creating any kind of object. Means if I want to create a table, I'll say create table. I want to create index, then I'll say create index. I want to create a sequence, then we'll say create sequence. We want to create a view, then we'll say create view. I want to create any materialized view, then we'll say create materialized view. I want to create a procedure, I'll say create procedure. So you just watch the beauty of SQL. Technically, you try to understand the beauty of SQL. To create any object, the statement is same. Am I correct? The only thing that is changing is what? The only thing that is changing is the type of the object, what you want to create, you have to mention there. So in near future, by research, if any new object is invented in RDBMS, will the corresponding create statement will change when the fundamental concept will be the same. According to the type of the object and the kind of object, its syntax could be changing. But once I get adapted to this, don't you think it's very easy for me to work through my compositions? Now, once I create any database object by requirement that is arising within the projects, there is a chance that I want to make some changes on that object. Do you agree with me? So when you want to make some changes upon the object that has been already created, we technically utilize a statement called as alter statement. So alter statement is nothing but it is a statement that is used to change the structural properties of the database object. Say like I created a table of 5 columns. I want to add another 2 columns. So I'll say alter table, and then I should tell I want to add 2 columns. What is the column name? What is the data type? These all things will be understanding in the coming days. So for altering any object that you have created, I'm making my words very clear. For altering any object that you have created within your Oracle database, you will always use alter statement only. So alter statement is used to make alteration to the structural standard of the database object, not the data. Alter is not for data. If anybody is using statements like I altered my data in my table, that's a wrong word. Okay, that's a wrong statement. Don't use like that. Be very careful in using your words very carefully. Now, once I create my database object, is there any guarantee that the database object should be available always and throughout? Come on. If I don't need in my project, I can always remove that particular object. So whenever I want to remove that object that I don't need, we have a very special kind of command called as your criteria and composition of your drop command. Okay, drop statement. It is used to drop any Oracle database object. I want to drop a table, drop table. I want to drop a view, drop view. I want to drop a sequence, drop sequence. I want to drop a index, drop index. It's just one single statement for any kind of object you want to drop. Now, even though by common sense we find people saying that I deleted my table, that's a very wrong word. You should not use a word called as delete for any particular. Delete is on data, drop is on the object. So I dropped my table. It's a very wrong word to use. I deleted my view. No, you dropped your view. I dropped my view. Sir, shall I need to be so sensitive in using these statements? Definitely yes, because it gives a wrong meaning if you are using it in a wrong way. Then once one database object has been created, there is always a chance that I want to make a change of its name. There is a chance. Always you don't do it. There is a chance that I want to change the name of my object. Whenever you want to change the name of your object, you will always use a rename statement. A rename statement is used to change the name of the Oracle database objects. And once you create one table, a table is a collection of data. And this data goes on occupying your internal space that is basically getting operated. Now I want to flush my table, or I want to clean my table totally without any particular data. Physically, I want to flush off my data from my table. Then we will be using one command called as truncate. Okay, truncate statement. Truncate is used to clear or flush all the data existing in Oracle database table. Now, there are many number of cases where beginners will have some misunderstanding that truncate and a statement called as delete is same. Now, just don't be in such confusions. What is exactly the difference? I will definitely justify and speak with every difference at later stages. Okay, don't worry. These all 5 statements will come under the category of data definition language because they will build the standard definition to your particular database objects that you are that are very important to manage your application as per the requirement of the business. Am I clear with you? Clear? Hello? Are you there? Now the next set of the statements are called as data manipulation language statements, which are called as DML statements. Manipulation means it's always making certain amount of change with respect to the data. So the actual business data operations are done through DML. So DML statements are nothing but statements that will help you in operating with the business data, where the first kind of statement is your insert statement. Your insert statement is always used to collect the new records into the Oracle database table. Be very, very clear about that. So whenever you're operating with your business, whenever an event takes place in the business, you're collecting the data of the event. That data that is generated whenever an event of the business is executed is done using this insert statement. So insert statement is always helping us in collecting the records that represent the business events. Am I clear? Now, once I collect the data into my tables with the help of the insert statement, business being dynamic, there is always a chance that my data can get modified. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me? There is always a chance that my data can get modified. So whenever you think that your data is modified because of the circumstantial requirements that are arising within your business, then we have one statement called as your update statement. Your update statement is used to modify the data values existing in the Oracle database table. Now here I want you to be very careful in using your terms. There are many cases where the students will say, I updated my table. By common sense, technically, you feel that you're correct. But please be very careful. I updated my table can give a wrong impression and wrong information to people working in professional state. I updated my data in the table because update is for the data that is existing in the table. It's not for the table. Sir, I made some changes on my table. I altered my table. Table is altered. Data in the table is updated. Am I clear? Try to understand these particular factors very clearly. Now, once we collect some business data in the form of records by inserting, is there any chance that I should keep the data always in my table? No. By circumstantial requirement, there's always a chance that I have to remove unwanted data from my tables. Am I correct? Now, data is removed in the form of records or data is removed in the form of values. What is your opinion? Records, okay? We always remove the records. So whenever you want to remove your records from your table, which are unnecessary with respect to your business requirements, we always apply the delete statement. So delete statement is exclusively used in your database management system applications to delete the unwanted records from your particular database tables. Where this record deletion can be a single record deletion or it can be multi-record deletion depending upon the rule of the requirement that arises. Am I clear? Now here a word of caution. I've seen people saying that I deleted my table. That's a very wrong statement. I deleted the data from my table. I dropped my records. It's a wrong terminology. I dropped my table. Drop is to the table, delete is to the data or the records in the table. Am I clear? Now, according to the academic constructs, this select statement, what you're seeing here, is generally considered to be part of the DML. Is generally considered to be part of the DML. Okay, according to your books, select statement will be in this list. Now, I'm not denying that. Okay, no doubt, select statement is a DML, but according to industry, we do not consider select statement as a DML. Why? According to industry, manipulation means some kind of physical change that is applied upon the data in the database. Okay, some kind of physical change that is applied upon the data in the database. But whenever you're talking select statement is making any change physically to the state of the data, or it's only reading the data? What is your opinion? It is only reading the data. So, since we are not making any physical state of change to the criteria of the data that is existing within your tables, then technically select statement is never considered by the industry as a manipulation language statement. Am I clear with you? Okay. So according to industry, manipulation means it is some kind of state of change what you're trying to do upon your particular data. So select statement does not make any such kind of changes. Therefore, we do not consider select statement to be part of that particular DML list. Now, even if you keep it there, it's not a big issue. Okay. That's up to you. Then comes the concept of transaction control language statements. Generally, they are called as TCLs. Now, you should always remember one thing. According to database management system softwares, transaction means it's a logically applied change to the physical state of your database. So, logically applied change to the physical state of your database, that is generally called as a transaction. Like insert is a transaction, update is a transaction, delete is a transaction, because these three are definitely making some kind of physical change upon the state of the data that is existing in your database. Am I correct? Am I correct? Now, remember very carefully, especially first time beginners, you should remember very carefully. According to the rule of RDBMS, no transaction is permanent automatically by itself. Okay. Am I clear? I'm repeating once again. No transaction is permanent automatically by itself within your Oracle database. Any RDBMS will follow these rules. So I inserted a record. My record is not inserted permanently into my table automatically. I deleted a record. My deletion is not permanently deleted. My deletion of the record is not permanently deleted from my particular database table. I'm updated the value of certain records in my table. This updation is not done permanently within your table in your database. So all your inserts, updates and deletes are done temporarily whenever they are executed. With all these changes within your Oracle, I'm making my words very clear. All these changes within your Oracle, temporarily they are kept in one special kind of memory called as rollback segment area. Okay. So any change you conduct, means any insert you do, any update you execute, any delete you implemented, These all changes are done temporarily within your Oracle database, keeping these changes in one special kind of memory called as rollback segment area. Now, as a developer, I should finally decide whether I want those changes to be permanent or they should not be permanent. So when I want to take a decision to make those changes to be permanent or not permanent, then technically we will be using transaction control language statements. Under this transaction control language statements, the first statement is commit. Your commit statement is used whenever you want to make the transactional changes permanent in the Oracle database. Are you clear? So you want to make the transactional changes permanent, then you'll directly call the commit statement. So when you call the commit statement, what is happening is any change you have done in that session with respect to that transactional batch, everything will become permanent in your database. Am I clear? We'll discuss in more detail when we get into the individual statements in individual topics. Okay, don't worry. I'm just giving an agenda of the process. So there are many number of cases where I do not want to make my changes permanent. I do not want to make my changes permanent. There are many cases where I will conduct a transaction, but I want to cancel that particular change. Then we will be using one statement called as rollback statement. So rollback statement is used to cancel the transactional changes in the Oracle database. But here one word of caution. Any transactional changes that are committed, they cannot be rolled back. Okay, if committed, it cannot be rolled back. So you should always keep it in your mind, non-committed transactional changes only can be rolled back. Am I clear? Am I clear? Now, whenever you are executing a transaction is a batch of statements. Okay, a transaction is a batch of statements. So I can always control my transactional batch when I'm executing my rollback. To make my control on rollback to be more effective, we have one statement called a save point. Actually, save point is used like a flag in the transactional batch. When I come to the TCL implementations, you'll understand save point more clearly. Till then, no worries. Now, within one Oracle database application, only one user can work or many users can work. Come on. So many number of users can work. Now, all the users are definitely having their own individual objects, or they could be sharing the objects by requirement. Come on, come on. They could be sharing. Now, whenever different people are sharing the database objects, don't you think that we have to control the way they are sharing those particular objects and they are operating the objects? Yes or no? So that particular controlling of the database objects, the way they should be shared and operated is done using a special kind of statements called as data control language statements. These data control language statements are the statements that are useful for controlling the way we are operating the objects and executing the objects in the database for different number of users who are operating on those objects. The first statement is the grant statement. Grant statement is always used to allocate the permissions on the Oracle database objects to users. You want to insert the data, you want to update the data, you want to delete the data, you want to drop the tables, you want to criterially alter the tables, you want to create the table. Anything you want to do with any of these statements, you need permissions from the DBA. So those allocation of permissions is done using the grant statement. Am I clear? Now, what is a guarantee that you should always be allocated with permissions and they should be available to you? So whenever you're expecting that you want to remove the permissions, we will be using a revoke statement. We'll be using a revoke statement. It is used to deallocate the permissions on the Oracle database objects from the users. So DBAs will generally use these two commands to give you permissions and to remove permissions according to the requirement that is arising within your database. Am I clear? So if you are seriously concentrating, these are the only SQL statements that are common by the rule of ANSI. Now, different database management system softwares, they may be having some additional statements according to the necessity. As far as our Oracle is also concerned, once I take you into implementation, along with these statements, we will be definitely discussing certain other kind of statements also that are essential and we should definitely know as far as Oracle is concerned. Okay. After all, if you can just count one, I think there are average on and around some 14 SQL statements we have to learn. These 14 SQL statements, learning is not difficult. How best you can implement them and how best you can apply them in your application development, be very, very clear about that. So there are certain points I just wanted to keep it in your mind when you're trying to operate on the compositions. The first thing you should always keep it in your mind is all SQL statements follow a standard syntax as per ANSI standards. Therefore, once if you learn these SQL statements very perfectly, you can work with any database management system software by any brand or any product in the world. Am I clear? Second, Oracle provides few extra SQL statements as per the necessity of the requirement of Oracle. Wherever the need arises, we'll talk about them. Let us not worry. Every SQL statement has the ability to operate on the database server. Okay, every SQL statement is designed in such a way that it definitely has all that ability to directly work upon your database server. Therefore, the developer who is executing these SQL statements, he doesn't need to get worried at all where exactly his database server is existing, what is his physical location. These all things he doesn't need to care. Are the points clear to you? The day when we complete all these statements, our SQL contract is closed. Now, when that will happen, that's where the time will tell us. And how deep we will learn, how best we will learn, everything is an experience in the coming days. Am I clear with you? Now, coming to the criteria of the process, let us understand few general things. Now, okay, I just want to have a visualization. So now you can say that SQL is a standard universally. Am I correct? Am I correct? Hello, hello. Be responsive, be responsive. Now, this SQL was first time identified and associated with ANSI. Okay, ANSI standardizations were first adapted with SQL. Okay, IBM started making the development, that's okay, I don't deny it. But ANSI has to approve. So, ANSI managed SQL is generally having its own brand name. Okay, ANSI managed SQL will be having its own brand name that is fundamentally called with ANSI SQL. In the bracket, if you see 82, it means that in the year 82 that standard was released. In that way, ANSI releases its standards by every 10 years or every 5 years, that depends. But in whichever year new standards have been released, that particular year number will be there. Am I clear with you? If suppose like you're saying ANSI SQL 92, it means that you're working with the standards of year 92 release of SQL by ANSI. On the other side, you have IBM as a company that also manages database management system software. Actually, to be frank enough, initially IBM and ANSI together they developed this SQL. Together they developed this SQL. But technically what happened is, in practical state of its implementation, ANSI started gaining more name and fame on SQL because the brand was named as ANSI SQL. Then IBM realized that its standard of its business identity is not going very proper. Then it got separated and IBM started calling its brand of database management system as DB2. Are you getting me? IBM's standard of database management system is branded as DB2. So if somebody says a DB2, I'm working for DB2, is working in database only, but it's an IBM product. Am I clear with you? So that's how whatever kind of brand name they have, finally one commonality of the language is what? SQL. Are you clear about that? Are you clear? In that way, there are many number of companies that come up with their own brand name of the database management system software following the RDBMS. In that way, Oracle Corporation also has its own brand in the market, what you're currently learning. And its brand of SQL is called as actually SQL Star Plus. Okay, its brand is actually called as SQL Star Plus. Now, generally students ask like, sir, what is this Star Plus? There's nothing too serious to discuss, man. This SQL shows that Oracle is saying that everything that is available as per the standards of ANSI, I am providing you. Plus additional features. Okay, that Star Plus indicates that I have more number of additional features and facilities that can make your application development of your databases much easier and much standardized. Therefore, once you say that you're good in your SQL Star Plus implementation, normally you're instructing the industry that I can not only work with the ANSI standardization of SQL, but also I can work with more fundamentally extendable features. And also I can work with projects that are more complicated by their need and necessity, because SQL of Oracle, SQL Star Plus of Oracle has much lot of features that can make you work for very, very critical database management system applications. Now this SQL Star Plus of Oracle is extended in practicality of its execution with something called as the procedural principles. Once these procedural principles are added, your SQL will get extended to a separate kind of product by brand called as PLSQL. That's how once you give your Oracle resume to the industry always expects that you have great amount of constructive standard with SQL Star Plus as well as your PLSQL. Okay, these are the two they definitely expect from you. Only when you say that you know PLSQL, industry believes that you are a solution provider. And solution providers always have more security in their job and also high pay packages. Therefore, generally students ask me one question like, sir, if I don't learn PLSQL, what will be happening? Nothing, man. You will definitely get your job. But technically, you should understand that PLSQL makes your identity much better because you can work directly in solution-oriented applications within the databases. And PLSQL is a product exclusively from Oracle Corporation. Oracle Corporation's highest identity and and acceptance in the market is only because of PL/SQL. Because SQL is with every database. Then on the other side of the world, you have once again some other kind of giants like Microsoft. So Microsoft's database management system software is technically considered as with a brand name MS SQL Server. Okay, it's called as MS SQL Server. If somebody says that I'm learning SQL Server, it means that he's talking on Microsoft product. Am I clear with you? And in Microsoft product also, your communicative language is SQL only. SQL is a standard everywhere you watch. Therefore, once you learn your SQL very effectively and perfectly, you can work with any brand of database management system software in the markets or not. So how best you learn your SQL, it depends on you. Now, there is one kind of language called as TSQL, which is fundamentally followed by both IBM and Microsoft together. Okay, the TSQL is called as Transact SQL, which has some similar features like PL/SQL. Are you getting me? It has some similar features like PL/SQL. But its brand name is called as TSQL. So what Microsoft uses and IBM uses for some procedural activities, what you can do is by using a special kind of language called as Transact SQL, in short called as TSQL. In this way, in the world of implementation, we can have only one or two companies that are having databases, or many companies can be there like this. Many companies. But all companies which are saying that they are RDBMS oriented, they are following one standard language. What is that? SQL. So if you are learning your SQL in an effective way, you can work for any brand of any company in the world. Am I correct? Just start. In that way, we have this all SQL standards, whatever I'm speaking, they are licensed, they are proprietary. But we have open source databases also that are coming into the world now. Okay. So whenever you're coming with the criteria of the open source SQL environments, one of the very famous in the markets is MySQL. Okay. So your MySQL is an open source. That's one small piece of an idea, man. Okay. So finally, if you are very good in your SQL, then technically, I think you can work for any particular area in the industry where database management system softwares are there. Now, open source SQL means any company can adapt it. Now, mostly MySQL is getting adapted by Oracle Corporation. Okay. Am I clear with you? MySQL is adapted by Oracle Corporation. It's giving you more number of features from it. And 80% of the IT industry is always dominated by Oracle's SQL. Therefore, when you learn your Oracle's SQL, there are more number of avenues and opportunities that you can always think of having them. Am I clear with you, gentlemen? So normally what students will say is, so which particular database I have to finally learn? There's nothing like that, man. Okay. It's only ridiculous thinking that if I learn this particular piece of the database, I can have a greater of opportunity. I'm not denying that. When you learn your Oracle, you always have more number of fundamental opportunities, and you may always have your own question. So now we can say that because of Oracle, I can have more better opportunities. See, Oracle is an 80% share in the overall industrial markets. That's first thing. Second thing is, all the top industrial giants, you like or you do not like, they technically operate for their projects by associating with Oracle, So why like that? Because Oracle's brand and the number of features it provides are far more than any other particular database management system software that is existing in the markets. That's where I always say, how many times you're learning seriously with respect to your particular criteria and composition of your Oracle's SQL. See, you like or you do not like, you started learning one of the world's best database management system software. But the only point I say is, you did not learn this particular database management system software with the effectiveness with which it can provide you the services. Then trust me, you have done the biggest blunder, because the best opportunities what you can really take from the markets, that you technically have lost. You technically have lost those particular opportunities. Why? Because Oracle is a very highly critical brand that exists in the markets. Am I clear with you? So for any database you're getting connected, it has its own standards. When the same way, when you're dealing with your Oracle, it has its own standards in connectivity. So I think I've already been speaking with it. So Oracle database connection string format will be in which way? I've already shown in my previous class. We give the corresponding username, and then we give a forward slash, which basically delimits the password, and then that @ symbol that delimits the name of your Oracle database server, which is generally called as host name. And this total string what you're seeing is called as connection string of Oracle or host string of Oracle, where the username is according to what your DBA gave you, the password is according to your DBA what he gave you, and that host name or server name is also what exactly DBA is giving you. There are a few fundamental points you need to really catch up. At any point of time when you're working in your Oracle, your usernames in Oracle database are unique throughout one single database. Okay, within one single database, all your usernames are unique. Every Oracle user has a username that is given by the DBA at the time of creation, and a unique user ID, which is a numerical value, where the user ID is generated by Oracle automatically. Am I clear? And third thing, passwords in your particular Oracle, okay? Passwords within your Oracle are absolutely case sensitive from 11G onwards. Prior 11G passwords were not case sensitive. Now, whenever you're trying to see that host name or server name actually identifies Oracle database server to which the client has to get connected in a remote location. If it's your personal machine, you do not need that particular host name generally. Am I clear with you? Host name or server name is a combination of server IP address and its port number. So behind the host name, what is there? Your IP address of your server plus the port number are internally encapsulated by your DBA. So you should always remember, forward slash is a delimiter to identify the password of the database user. Therefore, wherever that forward slash comes, your connection string automatically sends instruction to the server that anything after the password, after that forward slash is a password, anything before that is a username. Your @ symbol is a delimiter to identify the Oracle server name. So anything before @ is a password, and anything after @ is a server name. Are you catching the point? Those symbols are specifically applied for that purpose. Therefore, should always remember, whenever you're dealing with your Oracle, the basic format of the Oracle connection string is username slash password at the rate of host name. Now, Oracle passwords cannot contain the character forward slash and at the rate symbols, because if within your password, if you keep that forward slash and at the rate symbols, is not Oracle is confused? Yes or no? Therefore, don't use those two characters at any point of time within your passwords. All Oracle database users, once connected to the database server, they will share their own metadata. Every user will be having his own metadata that is given by Oracle. That is given by Oracle to do his database application oriented operations. Once you are connected to your Oracle database with your username and password, every Oracle database user will have its own unique session ID, and this session ID is active for the entire session of the user's database connection. Means the moment you are connected to Oracle, one session ID will be released, and that session ID will be there till you're disconnecting. Therefore, what is exactly a session in Oracle? Session in Oracle is the time between your connection to disconnection of your database server. Am I clear with you? Now, technically, whenever you're working through any particular environment, we always have a client machine from where we will be connecting to Oracle by giving that username, password, and at the rate host name. And this client machine is definitely connected. It is fundamentally connected to one network switch or hub within your organization. I'm speaking with you, okay? And this hub or network switch will automatically redirects you to the corresponding database instance that is existing elsewhere in the world. In that way, the moment you are using the host name, your host name will know exactly to which server the connectivity has to be established. In this way, your Oracle database, when you're working in industry, can have any number of database server instances. It can have any number of database server instances. Am I clear with you? So in the background, how many servers are running, you don't need to worry. The moment you give your username, password, and the host name, automatically your network will connect you to that correct server where you have to go and start operating. Am I clear with you? And you are in response to the clients via that particular network only. So your connection string of your Oracle fundamentally as a syntax of username slash password at this rate of server name, where that particular server name, where that specific server name, whatever you're seeing, is internally that hosting or your server name is one IP address of your server along with the corresponding port number allocated together. Am I clear with you? So your server name is hiding what? Tell me, your server name is hiding what? Your server name is hiding the original IP number and port numbers not to be revealed to the external world. So because of this, we are having great security or not? So you're working in any location in the world with Oracle database. Technically, you're executing all your instructions from a client machine. Your instructions are fundamentally transferred. Your instructions are fundamentally transferred via the network, to a special kind of component called as SQL Starless engine. Okay, your instructions are transferred to one special kind of component in your Oracle database called as what? SQL Starless engine. This SQL Starless engine bypasses your requests. Whatever requests the end user is raising, these requests are bypassed to the location where the database server is actually existing. Where within the Oracle database, your requests are passed to the Oracle database client instance first of all. And this database client instance will be communicating internally within your Oracle database server with the Oracle database server instance. This server instance will be redirecting the request to the client instance once again. and this client instance will send these requests and the results to the SQL Starless engine, and SQL Starless engine will release those results to your particular client environment from where you have generated the request. So an Oracle developer or a database developer, is it necessary that he should have the knowledge of the internal networks and all such kind of things in reality? No, definitely not. But having some fundamental idea of how exactly these kind of constructive flows are happening will always make you stand ahead of, say, like along with the 10 people are attending the interview, then you will definitely have more amount of emphasis and identification if you can speak in these kind of technical senses. Am I clear with you? Anyhow, we started rolling the ball, man. Now I think slowly we'll start keeping a leg into the commands and executions within 1 or 2 classes. Till now, are you comfortable? Whatever I'm speaking at this level, very practically I will show you in the coming days. Don't worry. So for all the people who have been already signed with us and you're moving on, I don't think you have any issue. But for those people who are not registered for this particular course and you're not yet taken a decision, now you need to think twice, because from Monday onwards, we'll be sending the meeting link only to those people who have been registered with us and who have been completing the corresponding formalities. And once we are on to Monday with a new link that will be released, and for those people, the next level of the videos will be shared into your Google Drive, because the next part of the course will not be available in my YouTube channel anymore. And all the corresponding demo videos, means whatever we have been discussing till now, these videos also will be shared into your mailboxes to your Google Drive, only to your Google Mail account. Be very clear, such that you can see and you can revise these videos as many number of times as you really feel that it's essential. And all the material what I'm presenting on my particular screen and everything will be given to you in the form of an ebook. Okay, ebook will be given to you, and every example I'll be executing on my screen will be kept in a recorded file called a spool file, and those spool files will be shared. You just don't worry about anything that's happening practically, it will be shared with you. So in the next 2 days, you people can take decision whether you can sign the contract with me and you can continue with me from Monday onwards. For those people who have already done it, we are very much thankful to you. We are obliged that you believed us. We will keep your faith at the highest level. You will be toughest and the highest competitors in the markets. When you get into interviews, you trust me. Don't worry about that. Time, and as your time rolls on, you'll understand how best you will get yourself into the markets, making you get the experience and exposure to your database, to the criteria of people working in the industry for 3-4 years on practical side. To that level, you will definitely can think, work, and you can execute practically. That is my promise. But you have to give me time to make you get into such kind of state. So let us see what is exactly going to be rolled by the next level of the class when we are meeting on Monday. Tomorrow we are off due to festival. So I just wish you all that greatest and highest level of career, with all the colorful lights that can be there in front of you, with all that faith you have kept on me, with respect to your career you want to find in the IT. Definitely, you just leave that on my shoulders, follow through my sessions, you can have it. So with all the ambition, what you have in your mind to make up your career, I wish that from this particular festival of lights, everything will be more brighter in your life with all that color that glitters, definitely with every thought and action you execute it. Wishing you the best and the most prosperous Diwali for you and your families. Thank you, gentlemen. Once again with you on Monday. Have a nice and wonderful Festival of Lights.